Hello people, today I'm re-ranking all 6 Jurassic Park films. Last week I just saw Jurassic World Dominion, and you can check out my thoughts on that film. My review will be at the end of this video, so you guys can check that out when you guys want. You'll see it placed upon these films as well. Last week I also rewatched every single one of these, so my thoughts are very fresh. I feel confident with the list and how I feel. I will say, it's not like I didn't grow up watching these movies. I watched them, and to be completely honest, I think I saw Jurassic World before I even saw Jurassic Park, just because that's how I grew up and that's just what I was surrounded with. And like, I kind of hate the fact that I saw Jurassic World before I saw Jurassic Park, but it's just the way it worked out for me, because like Jurassic World came out when I was 10, so it's not like, you know, I was a big cinephile back then. So yeah, these movies, a couple of them I really like, and a couple of them not so much. So we will find out. I will just say that I think I have a particularly interesting ranking, and I feel like maybe it's just me being a more modern person or not, but particularly with my last two might have some people a little upset, but it's how I feel. Coming in at number 6 is Jurassic Park 3. When I rewatched this movie, I went into thinking, oh, this is the fine movie of the franchise. Like, I always thought this movie was the fun one that was just fine. And I watched it again, and I think it's the worst one. I don't like Jurassic Park 3 at all. I would say this is the only movie in the series that I genuinely just really, really, really hate. This movie doesn't have any reason for existing. The movie struggles to find a reason to be a movie. The characters are so unlikable, except for Alan Grant. He's the only person that barely holds this movie together. But the characters, the parents that are looking for their kid, those are the most annoying characters in any Jurassic film, and these movies can have annoying characters. And those are the most annoying characters in this whole series. The movie's short, I'll give it that. Like, it passes time really, really fast, but when you're so used to this Jurassic formula, it becomes, and you have nothing really impressive with your sequences with dinosaurs, because there's at least a couple sequences in every Jurassic movie where I was like, I remember that sequence, that was cool. I remember that sequence, that was cool. This is the only movie where I was like, I don't really remember anything. The only thing I really remember about this movie is just how disappointed I was while watching it most recently, and how annoying particularly the mom was in this movie, because I'll say they might be some of the most annoying characters I've ever seen. At least they just frustrated me that much. But yeah, there's like, it is watchable kinda, but at the same time I don't want to watch this movie again. I really don't like this one at all. Coming in at number 5 is another little bit of a hot take. It is Jurassic Park: The Lost World. I didn't care for this movie, I'm sorry. I'll say this movie has some phenomenal sequences. But that's the thing. This movie, my entertainment of it just waxes and wanes so much. I could be entertained and riveted by a 15-minute segment, then be bored out of my mind for the next 15 minutes. Because the story here is not particularly intriguing to me. I like that Jeff Goldblum's back, and he's great in it. But there are characters around him. The girlfriend, I did not like her character. His daughter, I did not like her character. But besides those are the only characters in that movie I found kind of annoying. But Jeff Goldblum's fine. He's doing the Jeff Goldblum thing. But the story I didn't latch onto. It's a less interesting version of the story that we saw in the first movie. It just felt like it was just done again just so we could have a sequel. It's just, I was particularly bored with this movie. I was not intrigued in the slightest, and when we had segments like scares, like particularly the standout scene of all of the Lost World, an amazing scene, is where the 2 T-Rexes are looking for its child, and it's in the like long van that it's in, is slowly falling off the cliff. The sequence is so clever, it's creative, it's super thrilling, and the whole entire movie has moments like that where I'm really thrilled, or like, because the dinosaur, like, Spielberg directs, and these dinosaurs are just as some of the scares are just as good as the first movie. It's just the story is just so lacking, and I just didn't care for the story at all. Coming in at number 4 is Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. I know this is supposed to be the last one, but that still doesn't mean I really like this movie. Actually, going into me rewatching these, I had this as last place, but this actually went up a couple steps just because I was disappointed with Lost World and Jurassic Park 3. So I was surprised that I have this movie where it is. And what works about this movie, I really like some of the shots. I think they got a really good director for it. It's just, once again, the story is boring. I don't care. And the only thing that makes me put this above The Lost World is the fact that it's a little visually more pleasing to look at. They lean in a little bit more into the scares. And while there might be there's no sequence in Fallen Kingdom that that was as good as like the sequence in Lost World with the truck falling off the cliff, it was always at least watchable for me. People think it is boring, and I do think it does get slow at sometimes, but I'll just say I was more intrigued rewatching Fallen Kingdom than I was rewatching The Lost World, because I was more so curious. Even though I don't like every single beat the story hits, particularly with dinosaur auctions, and I don't like what they do with the little girl with the cloning. I don't like that at all, particularly how they handle it in Jurassic World Dominion. It's just I just really wish that the movie was all about what we went into the movie theater to see. Have it simple, get the dinosaurs off the island. We can make a 2.5-hour movie about that and have a really, really fun movie. It's just we have corporate stuff and bad business people and dinosaur auctions. And while I will say, what they did with the dinosaur auction, I don't like that story beat whatsoever. But I will admit that I thought it was done pretty decently, like when it comes to the scares that they did, when it comes to like the production, the directing. I thought all of that was really good. I just didn't care for the direction with the script at all. But the filmmaking for Fallen Kingdom is very good. So I can watch Fallen Kingdom for what it is, even though I'm deeply frustrated with the story, even though I don't find the story very boring. So that's what makes me put this movie above The Lost World. I'm more intrigued with it, even though I'm not a big fan of what's happening. Coming in at number 3 is Jurassic World Dominion. Sadly, this was not a big step up from the last movie. It just didn't. These last couple of movies refused to really focus on what we wanted out of these movies. The dinosaurs. This movie was very watchable. I was never bored watching it. I just don't care where the story was going. Wasn't about dinosaurs. It was more about locusts than it was dinosaurs. And the returning cast was fun to see. I thought Laura Dern was really, really good in it. It just didn't really deliver on the promise that I felt like I was made going into it. But it did have some really thrilling sequences here and there. And it's one of the more entertaining movies of the franchise, and I wouldn't mind watching it again. It's just, for first time watch so far, because I've seen all these movies twice except for this film. I don't know how it's going to hold up on a rewatch. I might even put it below Fallen Kingdom, but this movie, it was watchable. I feel like I could just watch it again and not be overly bored with it. And there are some really engaging action sequences, even though I'm also frustrated that these action sequences feel like they have dinosaurs in them, but it's not really about dinosaurs, they're just there. And it didn't dive into the concept I feel like the last movie set up very well, even though it does have some fun like fan moments and all that stuff can be manipulative, but it was to me. Yeah. Coming in at number 2 is Jurassic World. It's the most, out of the sequels, this one's the most fun one. It just decides to have fun with itself, and particularly with the latter half of the movie. The first half of Jurassic World, I'd put more along the lines with the quality of just kind of the rest of the movies, but the latter half of Jurassic World has a lot of fun with this concept. Quite a bit of fun, actually, because we have like the Indominus Rex just tearing through Jurassic World with civilians there, and it really, like, you kind of get that madness that you want out of this concept of dinosaurs just kind of attacking people. And so, like, it really, like, has fun with itself in the latter half. And even though there's another side plot, military side plot, we need to put we need to have these raptors be part of our military, help kill our enemies. All that stupid. I'm sure there was enough talk about that when that movie came out, but it wasn't done to a minimum in it, but at least when it was more forced into the story, it was kind of fun, at least. And the whole movie as a whole, I would say this one's fun. I don't love it. I wouldn't say it's particularly good or great, but it's fine. Like, I have a lot of fun watching it. I could just put it on, have fun with the latter half of the movie, and there's a lot of really cool sequences, like a really good exploration of what a modern day, like, Jurassic Park would look like. Well, obviously Jurassic World, it's called that, but it was a really fun idea to bring to life and to redo, and it kind of felt like that movie was the only real sequel to kind of have like a big justification for existing, just to see what a modern version of that park would look like. So it's a fun movie. It's watchable, and yeah, coming in at number one is everyone's number one. If this one isn't your number one, there's something wrong. Jurassic Park. While rewatching these movies, I was completely blown away by how much I loved this movie on a rewatch. The second time I watched this movie, I was so much more engaged. And this movie just gets everything right, because we have side plots and discussions from a business perspective, but it's entertaining, it's intriguing, and it always relates at the core of the movie. The dinosaurs. It always goes back to the dinosaurs. It always gets to that feeling of, like, it's the movie where it really encapsulated the fantasization of seeing a dinosaur and interacting with them and having that, like, scary connection with the planet like that. And all the dialogue and discussion revolves around that. Not about money or greedy businessmen. It's all about the moral discussion of, can we have this in our existence? So this movie really got that right. The cast is almost perfect, and it's when the characters were the most likable. It's the best characters. The kids aren't overly annoying. Of course, they have moments where they're like, yeah, they're a kid, they would do that. But I would dare I say these kids are good kids. Like, they are fun to watch. I'm not like, you're an idiot, please get out of my face. I'm rooting for them. So, like, and this is the scariest one still. This is the scariest Jurassic film. I was watching this and I jumped a couple times. I jumped 2 or 3 times while watching Jurassic Park, and any of the other movies, I didn't jump at all, because this movie just really knows what it's doing. It's so original for the first time of them doing it. It's just such an amazing film. It's one of my, I think it's like, I believe it's in my top 30 or at least the top 40 of all time for me. And I just, and that with the rewatch, it got it. And then all these thoughts came to me in a rewatch, because the first or second time I watched it, I believe I gave it like a 9 out of 10, but I boosted it up significantly to like a 9.7 or 9.6. And I really have no complaints with this movie. It really got the feel and the scares perfect. They barely used any CGI. Of course, there's some shots where they have to use CG, but they did a lot of, like, they built a lot of these dinosaurs, and they look good and they hold up. I really felt the awe of seeing that T-Rex for the first time when it escapes and they're outside all the Jeeps, and then they're running with the flares. When I was watching it, my jaw dropped to the floor. I was like, this is better than 80% of movies nowadays, because you feel the realism. They really do such a good job at building the suspense, and when you get that payoff of actually seeing a dinosaur, believe that you're seeing one and it's not completely CG'd out, like, that's just movie making magic right there. So yeah, clearly, I only really love the first one, and the rest are just kind of at least to me. But I watched them and I mostly had fun with, overall it's just kind of like it passed the time with most of these movies. But that first one, is a classic. So yeah, comment down below what your ranking is of the Jurassic films. I'm very curious because to see how each list is different. I know particularly my Fallen Kingdom rank is a little controversial, but it's not like I gave it a good review anyway. So yeah, like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that, and adios.